Hey ladies, today I'm going to show you guys how to do dip powder on your toes. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and file every single one of your toes to make sure that they're in good shape and ready for the dip powder. I'm going to go ahead and do that on my right foot here. Now once you're done, you guys know the drill. You want to go in and you want to prep all your cuticles, and you want to use your cuticle softener. And then you want to go ahead and let that sit in for a little bit, soften it up, and then push all your cuticles back, getting them ready for the dip powder. There you go. Now, once it's done, you want to go in and prep your toes for the dip powder. So you guys know the drill. This is the same as what you would do with your fingernails. You want to go in and you want to buff every single toenail, making sure that it's nice and rough enough for the base to adhere to your toes. So I'm just doing that here, making sure everything's nice and rough and ready to go. I'm going to brush off all the excess powder, make sure it's nice and clean by spraying some rubbing alcohol and then cleaning every single toe with a lint-free wipe. Now we're ready to go in with our color. Today I'm picking an Ava Nails pink dip powder color. Let me just go ahead and open the jar for you guys so you could see how pretty this color is. Wait till you see when it's on. So we're going to take our Ava Nail base, which is the number 1, and get that ready to go. And what's different with Dip Powder Pedicures is that you're going to take with a little scoopula. I have this from back in my days when I was working in labs. So you're going to use the scoopula. You could also use a spoon if you don't have a scoopula at home. Not everybody has that, but you're going to want to put some dip powder in a little well and close up your jar. So you're going to use a scoopula or spoon to pour that over your toenails. So it's called the pour method. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I do 2 toes at a time because honestly, it is really not comfortable sitting over your toes for this long. So I try and do them as quickly as possible. I'm going to pour them over. This is my first coat. Don't worry if you don't get the powder everywhere. You're always going to go in with a second coat of dip powder, which is going to really help cover the entire toenail. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my 2 last toes. I'm going to go ahead and clean and make sure that I don't have any powder that might have dropped onto my nails before I put my base coat on. There you go, putting my base coat and going ahead with the scoopula and pouring the dip powder on top of the toenails. I'm just going to lightly tap my toenails, make sure all the excess dip powder comes off. And finally, we're going to do the big toe. This is the most satisfying toe because it's the biggest. There you go. So as you guys could see, I kind of crunch my toes to make them just go downwards so that the powder could accumulate back in my little well or my little dip powder how can I call it? My little dip powder well? My little dip powder dish. There you go. So as you guys know the process, we're gonna floof away and dust all of the dip powder off of our toenails so that we could go in with our second coat of dip. So I'm using my little vacuum here just to make sure that the dip powder doesn't go everywhere, even though it clearly has, as you guys could see. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do the first 2 toenails once again, and I'm going to follow that with the pouring method. Tap, 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 get rid of the excess powder. And now, as you guys could see, the first 2 toenails that I did originally are a lot more covered with dip powder. So like I said, if you don't get it your first time around, you could always go in with second or third coats to really just ensure that the dip powder gets all over your toenail. And voila, onto your last toenail. As always, I'm making sure that I'm brushing to make sure that the toenail is clean so that I don't get any dip powder product on my brush and that the base could adhere very well to my toenail. Making sure that there's no base on my skin, trying to keep it nice and clean. And I'm going in with my last dip powder pour. Voila! Now we've done all of our dip powder pouring. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna clean every toenail, make sure that all the dust is off of the toes. I'm being a little bit more careful with my first toe because I did the dip powder on it last. So I don't wanna do anything to get rid of that base adhering to my toe. Now it's time for the activator. So this is all really sped up, but generally I would wait for the dip powder to settle into the base before I go right away into the activator. But given that it's sped up now, you guys are seeing me do it really quickly, but I already put in my activator on every single one of my toes and I'm waiting for it to settle in. I wait about 5 minutes or so before I go in with buffing. So first things first, I'm gonna file every nail just briefly, just to make sure that there's, you know, no excess powder on the edges. And as always, we're gonna go in with a buffing block. You don't need to go crazy here. You just need to do a general buffing just to make sure that the powder is not too granulated on your toes and that it's nice and soft. And voila, now that that's done, I'm gonna spray it with rubbing alcohol, dry that up and clean it with a lint-free wipe. And now we're ready to go in with our final coat, number 3, which would be our top coat. So as always, just to speed things up, I go over everything as quickly as possible because I'm bent over and this is extremely uncomfortable, as you guys know when you're doing your own pedicures at home. So I did my first coat, I'm going in with my second coat, always allowing time in between coats to dry. And I'm finally done. So I'm just gonna do a little close up here so you guys could see what my toes look like. Not bad at all. So this is what your toes will look like when you do an at-home dip powder pedicure. Now to clean everything up, obviously you want to save all of the leftover powder. You simply need to just take it and bring it back into your powder jar and you're done. Thank you for watching, ladies. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment down below. And obviously, subscribe to my channel if you like this video.